been tagging me a lot on Facebook, and I ended up blocking him because I went to court over someone that was just getting stalked and stuff. So I've really been overwhelmed and having a hard time, and I don't really I don't even I have no one as friends. Like, I just get on there to look at social events and things like that, right? And so he's pointing out, he thinks that from there to there, like, this doesn't line up. So when he superimposes it, why doesn't it perfectly match? And then he's got this sketch. This is not, there are photos of the skulls. This is not a photo of the skull. This is J.D. Bodden's reconstruction of it using the measurements of the skull that they made when they disinterred it, you know. But this, I asked Machi why they don't do this. It's obviously very, very subjective. The head is tilted a little bit more to the left, whereas it's not very even. For whatever reason, he decided to tilt the head that way. And then he superimposed it, and he's sketched the mouth really kind of odd, and it's the pedestal death mask. And so I've got an explanation of why, other than that 2011 study that I talk about in my last video, that Tegan told me about. So this is from Instagram. I'm going to go ahead and go to here. You can see this is Photo Tricks. But I am just going to put my cursor right there. So this is basically, as he's explaining right here, is he starts really close, he goes farther away, and he uses different lenses. But the best one is actually 85 millimeter is what he personally chooses. He thinks for more realism, right? Because there's distortion. So that's really close. If you just keep the cursor right there, you see all of a sudden the hairline is changing. So that's camera distortion. So most of these photos, my photo is too close. So that's why I'm like, it doesn't matter, because look at this. It's not gonna be perfect. That's camera distortion. And you can just look at the eye and see. I'm gonna go to from here. So you can see they lined this up really well, but he did a really good job trying to keep the same expression. The shape of the eye changes. It suddenly looks so much more wider. So here he is, really close, super, super close. So camera's super, super close in the beginning, and then he's outside in another room with the widest one. So that it's distance, camera lens, all those things, it's not going to line up perfectly. And that's why they don't use photoanthropometry for exclusion purposes, because your own face is going to be different just from these different lenses. That's what they're saying. This is evidence of that. And I'll make sure you see this is where the video came from, and then Photo Tricks, and then it's at Harrison. So this guy's page, Harrison, he's the one that posted that. And so I show you right here, this is the superimposed sketch of here. So again, this is not gonna, you're not gonna end up in a scientific journal doing what I do, especially since I was the first one that did it. And no, I'm just kidding. But like, I didn't see anyone do it before, and there's reasons why they don't do it. But as an artist, it helps me to see, it helps me to believe that this was Joseph Smith. I believe it's Joseph Smith. I just really, really do. And so when you go to my website, theprophetscars.com, this is retreating, receding forehead. And I've just done video after video after video talking about this. So this is Carter's photography. This is actually, it looks like it's very likely Carter's. I'll show you. Okay, where I got this was in this article, and they don't, side view, courtesy of Church History Library, so they don't say who it is. But I want you to look at these details of this, and then here's Carter's glass negative collection. You see you've got all this going on right there. And then you can see that when I superimpose this, and I line up as best that I can, treating forehead. Right here, you can see it's receded to there, and I'll just keep the cursor right there. I have to move it a little bit so it doesn't go away. And that is just missing. And there's plaster, so it's very deceptive of the hairline. So the front of it probably looked completely, I'm sure it looked very different, and I don't know when all this changed. You can see there's a clump of hair, and there is hair right there. But his hair is receded to there. But it's really receded as far back as there, according to this photo. And you can see his hair is receded to about mid, right up where his ears start. Okay, there's where Joseph's ears are. You go to here. This is a sketch by Bathsheba Smith. And you can see his hair is receded that far back on the side. You do not see that in the forward-facing painting because, well, there's artistic liberty. But his hair is brushed forward, just brushed forward, almost this side part. And you can see it in black top hat, which is this picture, really receded on the side, very far back, all the way to the ears. And this is a comb over. It's no longer being brushed for, it's a comb over. And then I think it just kept getting worse. But you do see in 1832 that he was losing hair in 1832. He died in 1844. And they also had, this is Joseph's own words, that some of their hands were in his hair. And they grabbed him and drug him out, but their hands were in his hair. And so there is a Levi Hancock quote that was on a website that's just gone, and websites change, but yeah, so basically the gist of it was Joseph showed Levi, this is where they had pulled out my hair. Okay, and that was the 1830s, so it didn't grow back. And they say that's why he brushed his hair forward. Well, there's less hair on this left side of his head. And that statement by my roommate that I'm not friends with, I haven't talked to her in over 5 years, that I was showing her what I was seeing, and I just asked, what does she think? I didn't own either. I had no emotional connection, really. I was just, felt a little defensive when she was like, well, I don't know. Just sort of, she just asked me questions. Like, no, I wasn't defensive, but I was like, I want to investigate this. I want to analyze it, and that's when I started doing that in 2017. But yeah, I sketched the outline, put that on there, and all I did was expand this slightly, and it matches flush the shape of his head from the death mask all the way around until right there is when it starts to get a little bit different. And so I've got several videos I recommend watching. So here, there's, it's not receded at all, but in June, see this, it was the painting that, so this picture, not even a month after this was donated to Library of Congress, Joseph Smith III said that he's selling photos of the painting. He never once said, I'm selling photos of my dad sitting in a photo, right? And so this is one video that I did. Is it cutting off? I didn't want this to show the whole screen, so I apologize. But just showing the width of the head. So you can see I've got a grid set up, and you can see this is about 2 squares. Obviously, this is a lot longer on that side. And then just putting the death mask on, well, it's correct there. Just on this side, things start to get a little bit weird. But this even looks indented right there. It looks, there's a lot wrong. So when I take that and superimpose that green line, you could see the difference. But what you can also see is that I've lined this up in the middle of the nose. This is the middle of the head. An opposite issue. So basically, this side of the death mask.
Here's what I found.
Hush, Siri. On this side, okay, the distance from here to here, when you go on there, it's less of the width. Does that make sense, you guys? Than on this side. So it's an opposite issue on the death mask. So it's not symmetrical, the forehead or whatever it's covering, unless they might have soldered that side in more when they were fixing it. But there's less of the forehead showing on our right, his left, than on there. Because again, you see this is mid-forehead. This is the middle of the nose. Smack dab in the middle. This is the middle, midline. I'm dragging that. It went a little bit that way, but you can see there's this. I'm just taking this. And you can do this too. So analyze the death mask yourself. This is from Silver P-Cent's website. And they didn't say who took the photo. I mean, that's why we didn't use this in the paper. I'm talking in the video, but I eventually drag it over. And I'm trying not to skip forward just so you can see I didn't do anything funny. Okay, I'm showing you that the death mask, so it's an opposite issue. Where in my photo, the left side of his forehead is wider than the right. There's camera distortion, by the way. But on the death mask, the right side of his forehead, from the same height, midline, going over here, it's thinner. This comes in more, right? Does that make sense, you guys? And then here is me showing you, again, just go ahead and rewind this video and watch, or just go to the Instagram and find that video. I linked it on my Instagram page, but so there's that. It all lands flush. This is the outline of that. Here's the outline of the skull, the death mask, sorry. And I'm being honest, I'm not hiding it. I'm not playing any games here, right? I just drag that. Initially it's smaller, and then I just expand it a little bit because of camera distortion. Because I was too close. So the farther away, we saw that from that Instagram video, that he was way farther away and used a better, bigger lens. You know, of 85, he says, is the best, right? But he went up to, I think, 200. But you can see how the hairline can go from here to there, there to there. It's the same person. And they lined up the eyes, the nose, the mouth perfectly. But the different lens and the distance can make the hairline go from here to here. It's not going to line up. That's why they don't use photoanthropometry for exclusion purposes. So I'm going to just jump to here where I've lined it up. See there, I've lined it up. And see, that lines up, and that's under the chin. So there's that line, and then there's that flush. It even kind of comes in a little bit right there, and you actually can see that. You can sort of see there is still some hair on the top of his head too. So there's still hair right there, and you can see little scragglers there. But from my analysis, this side, and it's very obvious looking at it this way, that this is coming in more than this. And then we look at this from the side, looking at Carter's photo, that this should actually be going back farther. So then it's almost like well, his hairline is too far forward, you know, but when someone's brushing their hair forward on top of their head, or they got it piled on top of their head with a bunch of lard like this so that it doesn't stick to the plaster, you know. But this is a little bit overgrowth. Like this isn't cut to the root. I think in my picture it was cut to the hairline. Like here's the hairline, it was just chop. So this is a little bit of hair sitting on top of the head. And you can see the different artwork of Joseph Smith really showing that. So you really see that he did have a receding hairline, but things aren't going to line up perfectly. See a receding hairline. You can see the shape of that eyebrow. Just the shape of that eye. Just look at the shape of the eye. Open. How it looks. It just looks the same. These wrinkles line up. But this is what really shows like how far back does his hairline go, because you can see almost individual hairs. Like there's so much detail to the hair, but very little to the face, right? It's the opposite with a forward-facing painting. Almost no detail to the hair. Like that is indication that he was just taking artistic liberty and just getting Joseph to laugh and saying, oh, I'll give you the best hair, like the resurrection. That's just my theory. You know, it's artistic liberty. But you see hair follicles coming out of the hair, and then the hair is just sitting on the top of the head and popped up. You know, guys lose their hair. And they do this. They'll brush it forward. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. They do this modern instead of the comb over, but we do see indications of somewhat of a comb over. So when you look at this picture of mine, it appears there might be a part right there. This could be a part, or it could just be a blurred. It could just all be combed forward. But this is hair coming forward. You can see it sticking out right there as it's coming. There's hair lying on top of this guy's ear and coming forward. That's hair. It's not coming backwards over there. Not coming backwards over there. It's coming forward, and that's what's happening here. So I'm just going to end the video here, but I really wanted to show just so that you could understand better, and I just make a shorter video so that you can understand that, and you can just sketch things weird and differently, but they definitely do superimposition in our paper. They just aren't using the skull, and I'm not at liberty to say why, but I'm finding, having talked to several people, the reasons they did give me that I'm not going to say is pretty much universal, and I wish we'd analyzed the skull in the paper, but I'm not the forensic scientist. They have their reasons, and if there's some way around it, or someone decides to do that in their, I don't know what could happen in the future, right? But I do know there's still things happening. Like, I'm not killed. I'm not, oh no, devastated, thankfully. So just keep me in your prayers, and just share my work, and just actually click on everything, read it, spend more than 8 minutes on here, because I spent 4 hours when I went through just the one page. Anyway, have a good day.